everyone, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video I'm going to be doing a review as well as swatches on the new Jaclyn Hill palette that Morphe came out with. I'm super excited to be doing this, and I couldn't wait to get my hands on this palette. I knew I really wanted to get this palette because I've always been such a big fan of Jaclyn Hill, and the colors in it are just so beautiful, so I'll be showing you guys those in a second. Sorry I've been so MIA from YouTube lately. I just moved in to my new house, so that's been kind of crazy the past few weeks, but I'm really looking forward to getting back here on YouTube and creating more content weekly. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and let's just go ahead and get started. Alright, so this is what the outside of the package looks like. The palette looks like. It just says the Jaclyn Hill palette in this really pretty font. It's kind of like a mirrored font where it says Jaclyn Hill as well as Morphe. And then the back of it says Morphe by Jaclyn Hill, and then it has JH's all over the back of it. The packaging is really nice. It comes in a nice white box that looks the exact same as the palette. It's a nice kind of like hard cardboard, very sturdy, and it has like a magnetic closure, so that's really nice too. It also came with like a little insert. It says Morphe by Jaclyn Hill eyeshadow palette now available online and in store. There's a picture of Jaclyn holding the palette there, and then on the back of it you get all of the names of each of the colors. So I'm gonna go ahead and read off each name as well as swatch them for you guys. So let's go ahead and get started with that. Before I get started with that, so the inside of this says this palette is dedicated to all my loving subscribers, XO Jaclyn. So I think that's really sweet that she did that. I would have loved to have a mirror in this, because it just does make it a little bit easier if you have a mirror, but this, I mean, the message is really sweet too. So alright, so this is what the inside of the palette looks like. The pan sizes are about the same as all the other Morphe palettes, so if you're familiar with that size you would know. It's a beautiful array of colors. That's why I was really drawn to it. Before I watched Jaclyn, she did a whole video, it was about half an hour long, on all of the colors, the reason she picked them, the names for them, the sentimentality behind the names, as well as the formula of each and every single one of them. So before I saw that video, I really wanted to pick it up just based on the colors alone. But after she talked about the formula, it had me really intrigued, because what she said is that she worked really hard on each color to make sure it was the best that it could be, and Morphe used different kinds of like pressures in each of the pans than they have in the past to make sure that it was really creamy and blendable, and it totally is, guys. I've been working with this palette for about a week and a half now, and I love it so much. So the top row here, I'm going to start with this shade, and this shade is called In Light. And it's kind of like it has a sheen to it, but it's not a shimmer. And that's what that one looks like. It's a really pretty color. I highlighted my brow bone with that today, and I think that turned out really nice. Alright, then the next color we have is called Beam. Now this one's a little bit more pigmented, I would say. This is Beam, and that was In Light. So as you can see, this one has a little bit more pigment, and it also has a little bit more of a yellow tone to it. I think either of these would actually be really pretty face highlights too if you have more pale skin. I haven't tried that yet, but I would love to. Alright, these next two are kind of your typical like transition colors. They're not too deep or they're not too light. They're really nice for the crease. This one is called Silk Cream, and you can barely see it on my skin tone there, but that's what it looks like. And then the one next to that, the fourth one, is called MFEO. And I can't for the life of me remember what she said that stood for, but if you want to watch it, I'm going to link her video down below. There's MFEO right there. Okay, so the last three in the top row here, they're all kind of pinky colors. So the first one is called Faint, and this is a shimmer, and it's so pretty. Very metallic and blinding. I love the formula of these. It almost feels like kind of wet. It's very nice formula. This one is called Sissy, and it's kind of a duochrome, so you can see it's pink, but it has gold shifts in it. Again, so beautiful. And then the last one in this row is called Little Lady. This is a little bit more peachy tone, but you can still almost see a little bit of that gold shift to this one as well. So I really, really like these colors too. With the shimmers in this palette, you really don't need a lot. Sometimes it's really easy that we load up our brushes with those shimmer shades because they're so beautiful, but this one a little bit goes a really long way. And if you start loading up too much of it, like I said, since it's that creamier kind of formula, it can start to get a little bit chunky on the eyelid. So go in with less. If you need more, you can always add more, but yeah. Alright, so the first row's done. I'm going to move on to this second row right here. So let's go ahead and do that. This first one is in the shade Creamsicle, and it's a really, really beautiful kind of mustardy orange yellow shade. I don't typically use these shades that much, but it's kind of inspiring me to do so, so I'm excited to create a look with this color. The next shade is called Butter, and I don't think that she named it after like the color itself, because the color is kind of a more rusty orange color, but I think she named it, in the video because she said that this one blended like butter, so she named it that one. The next one we have is called Pooter, as in like P-O-O-T-E-R. It's a really beautiful like chocolatey medium brown color. And then the next one we have is called Pukey. And she always talks about on her channel, if you watch hers a lot, she likes those warm, camel-y, kind of almost pukey colors. So here's that one right there. You can see what I mean. It's kind of like a mix between a brown and like a mustard yellow, kind of like that. So she named it Pukey. Next we have the shade Hunts, and this is a beautiful rusty red color. Super pigmented. I mean, these are crazy, crazy pigmented, and for the matte shades to be able to be that blendable and see it's not patchy at all, it's so, so, so good. And this whole palette is only $38, so I think that's really, really good. Totally worth it if you can get your hands on it. I know it's out of stock right now, and I got it in like the first few minutes that it went live on their website, but I know that they're restocking it soon, so you should really try to get your hand on this palette because I think that you can create so many different looks with it. You have warm tones, cool tones, pops of color, dark colors. I just think you have everything you need to create any look you want. So especially if you're a beginner in makeup, I know sometimes it seems like palettes like these can kind of, you know, be overwhelming. But I think it's kind of like an all-in-one palette. You can create a dark look, you can create, like I said, pops of color. There's a lot of neutrals in here, there's some pinks, there's those pretty warm tones. I think you can do anything you want with it. So, alright, little rant over there. Let's move on to the last two in this second row here. This one is in the shade Firework. It's a beautiful kind of, a little bit more orangey than the last one, but it's a shimmer. Very, very pretty. And then the last one in this row is called Queen, and it's kind of like a true golden bronze color. It's actually pretty unique. You don't see colors like this a lot. You oftentimes see it more orangey toned bronzes, but this one's like a true yellowy gold bronze. It's so pretty. Alright, moving on to this third row here. We have the shade Obsessed, which is kind of this really pretty light champagne taupe, I would call it. It's kind of like a cool tone champagne. Again, a really unique, beautiful color. Then we have the shade SBN. I'm not exactly sure what that stands for. Like I said, I'll link her video down below. This is a really, really pretty kind of brownie toned, coppery color. Then we have Hillster, which is a nice deep brown copper color there. All three of these are shimmery. Then we have Roxanne, which is kind of like a deep rusty brown. A little bit deeper than that rustic red that I was showing you guys earlier. Then we have Jax, which feels a little bit different of a formula than the rest of them. I'm not sure why, but it still blends really easily. It's kind of a deep maroon shade. It's this one right here. I'm not sure why it blends a little bit differently, but it's still really pretty. Oh, I just got it all over my hand. Huh. Come off. Second to last one in this row is called Buns, and it's a beautiful warm chocolate brown. I love that color. Then we have the shade Crayon Apple, which is kind of a more pinky red toned shimmery shade. So there's the third row. Alright, now it's time to get into the fourth row, which is where we start to get some of those pops of color. Alright, so this first one is a shimmery purple shade called Royalty. Look at that. I mean, so beautiful, not streaky at all. This is actually what I have smudged out on my lower lash line today, and I normally don't wear dark colors on my lower lash line, but this color was so beautiful, I was like, I gotta put it on there, so that is Royalty. Then we have the shade Twerk, which is a beautiful kind of like electric blue shade. It's almost like indigo, but it does kind of cast a royal blue reflect. And I wore this shade on the 4th of July. I got so many compliments on it. I love this color. Then we have the shade Hustle, which is kind of like a classic taupey gray shimmery shade right there. We have the shade Meeks, which is kind of like a mustardy brown shimmer shade. Again, pretty unique. This palette's full of such unique shades. We have the shade 24/7, which is like a classic chocolatey brown shade right there. We have the shade Chip, which is kind of a purpley toned brown shade. And then lastly in this row we have the shade Mocha. And this is a nice kind of your typical chocolate brown. You can wear it in the crease, you can wear it on your lower lash line, you can wear it in your outer V. It's so versatile, and this one is probably the least pigmented matte out of all of it, but I think that she did it on purpose because this shade is so versatile. You can build it up or you can kind of sheer it out in the crease, so it's a really pretty color as well. Alright, moving on to the final row. The first one in here is this beautiful aqua shimmer shade called Pool Party. I mean, you guys, it's so beautiful. It even has like some gold reflex in it. I love this. I cannot wait to wear this all over my lid. I've been like waiting for Ian to take me on an awesome date where I can wear this. Ian, if you watch this video, take me out. And then right next to it you have another beautiful kind of tealy shade called Jada. This one is matte though. You have another kind of sparkly green color. This one is called Diva. It's kind of a dark emerald green. Really pretty. I think all of these would work so well together. And then one of my favorite shades in the palette is this really deep forest green color called Enchanted. And the camera's picking it up pretty well. It's just a beautiful deep green. I think that would look so beautiful on the eyes. These colors complement lots of different eye colors, so beautiful. And then we're down to the last three colors here. We have the shade Central Park, which I know she wanted to name it Central Perk, but she couldn't because of copyright. And then we have the shade Soda Pop, which is a really interesting color because it's kind of like it's almost a black, but it's kind of deep purpley colored. I have that on the outer V today, which I'll show you guys how I got this eye look after I get done swatching these for you. And then the very last one is Abyss, which in my opinion, no palette is going to be complete without a nice matte black shade. So that is the very last row. Okay, so like I promised, I would show you the look that I did today. As you can see, I have all matte on my lid here, and then I have the purple smudged underneath my eye. So for my lids, I used Silk Cream as my transition shade. Then I used the shade Butter in my crease as well. And then I kind of deepened up the outer corner and smudged it into my crease. The shade Mocha. And then I used the shade Soda Pop just on my very outer corner here. And then, like I said, I smudged a shade Royal all underneath my lash line there. So, alright, so that concludes my review and swatches on the Jaclyn Hill palette. Obviously, I can't say enough good things about this palette. I think you definitely need it in your life. Go and get it as soon as it comes back in stock because I think it's a great beginner's palette. It's great for people that know a lot about makeup. The colors blend like a dream. They work so well together. I mean, congrats, Jaclyn. I think this is one of the best palettes that I've ever seen in my whole life. And I've seen a lot of them, and I haven't bought a lot of them because I kind of pick and choose and I wait for what I think is going to be my perfect palette, and I definitely think this is it. It's got all the pops of color that I would want to use. It's got every neutral I would want to use. It's got every deep color I need. It's got any color that you need to create any look you could possibly ever want. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Please subscribe. I'm going to link her video down below. I'm going to link where you can get this down below. And thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.